Alright guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about my top players that impressed me at VCT lock-in. These are going to be just the player that, or players for one of the teams that impressed me the most out of everyone. This is, in terms of like impressed, I mean like players that like overperformed expectations or continued to play at the level that they're expected to play at, but maybe I thought would take a little bit of a dip with like all of the extenuating circumstances from the rest of the tournament. But yeah, without further ado, make sure you guys subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and like and leave a comment telling me who you were impressed with. And yeah, let's get right into the video. And first up here, we have my player from Koi. I'm just gonna be on like from the top of the bracket to the bottom. And yeah, starting with Koi, I have Trex. At first, I was kind of questioning his swap to Initiator and whether he would be as impactful as he was on the Duelist, and if Wolfen would be better than he was on the Duelist. And he definitely was just as impactful as he was on Duelist. Obviously, Wolfen is not as good as Trex, but that's a different story. Yeah, but he showed that he's more than capable of being flexible. I didn't know this. I don't know if he played too much Sova before this. He did. Okay. He played some. But he was the main reason they went up so big on Icebox. Like he had just so many like multi kill rounds. Like he had 8 throughout that whole map. Being one of their bigger bright spots throughout that and the rest of the series. He had 14 multi kills through the whole series combined, which is kind of insane for losing 2-0. But yeah, overall, I was really impressed with Trex, especially with his like initiator play and stuff. And I hope that he gets to play Duelist into the future because that would be very entertaining because he's very, very, very good. All right, and next up here we have my player for NRG, who I'm gonna go a bit off of what people would expect here, and I'm gonna take FNS. Um, I know Sam wasn't really expected to do a ton, and in the first 2 games he played very well, but against Loud he kind of played like trash. And in the second couple maps against Giants, he didn't really find a ton of impact. I mean, on Icebox he did, but like the other than the clutch on Lotus and what was the second map? Haven, I think it was. Let me check. Yeah, it was Haven. So other than that, he didn't like other than an Icebox in that game, he didn't really find a ton of impact in my opinion. Um, but I don't know. With FNS, um, I feel like his IGLing, which is expected to be like one of the best in the world, if not the best, uh, it took a level up. I don't know if it like if you were ranking everybody, if it went up that by that much, like comparatively to everybody else, but the level of his IGLing did go up by a lot in this event, in my opinion. Um, Helping NRG like on attack, especially like destroy some teams like they did to Giants on Haven, and make comebacks like they did against Koi on Icebox. Um, like overall, I just think his IGLing like really, really, really affected this team and kind of helped them incorporate the 2 new players, especially Sam. Let's call him Sam. And I thought his individual level went up by a lot. Like he didn't really have a quote unquote bad map. Like he didn't have very many great maps other than Lotus against Giants, but he didn't really have a bad map until Split against Loud. And I don't know, I was really impressed with his individual level. I don't think he played terribly on the other 2, but he played about as you would expect on the other 2. So yeah, FNS is my player for NRG because of his IGLing and especially because of his individual level in this tournament. And then next we have Detonation Gaming, who there's a ton to talk about here, but I picked Zinfree. I kind of liked Disaster Util when they played Haven. But again, not really much to talk about. They didn't really do much, and they did not play well in that game either. And now we have Giants, who I picked Cloud for. I don't know. I just thought his like Sova was really, really impressive. He was a big reason they were able to destroy Detonation as big as they could. And I thought he played pretty well on the not Lotus maps. Like I thought his Lotus play was okay, but the rest of the series he looked very, very nice. Even on Haven, I don't think he was the reason they lost. Obviously, that's a whole team thing, so that's not really not his fault, but it's also he wasn't the main problem. And then Icebox, he played fairly well. I think this guy can be one of the best initiators in EMEA if this team really gets a chance to like everybody else around him starts playing well, and I think that's possible if Coutinho kind of picks up because he had a really rough tournament. Like I don't know, like a lot of the concerns they have with Oxy that I've talked about, where like he'll just like randomly dry swing out of a smoke or like front B with an op on Haven, like stuff like that is just not ideal. So I hope he cleans that up, and then this team will be really, really good. They were one of my dark horses in this tournament, and I don't know, Nookie, Cloud, Rhyme, those are big reasons. I also thought Hoodie was pretty good. I didn't think he was this good though, so maybe he should have been my pick here, but I also really didn't know Cloud that well before this, so and he played like a top player at the event, so I don't know. It was really close between those two though. And next up from Gen G, there were a couple options here, but I went with King, who was playing Viper and KO for them. Overall, I just thought his Viper on Pearl especially was really, really nice. I mean, he was fucking carrying them on that map. And yeah, TS did kind of carry on Fracture, but I didn't really notice it as much as I did with King. And he played very well on Fracture as well, while TS didn't play as great, as you can see kind of by the stats. But I don't know, his lurks, his timings, and Viper were really nice. And overall, I thought he boosted his stock a lot. And next up with Loud, this is the only team I didn't only pick one player for. And I just picked both the new players. I already knew Ospas was fucking insane. I think he kind of cemented himself as right now the best player in the world. In that game against NRG, not Optic. Less played insane as he does. I kind of expected him to fall off a little bit. I could have put Fraud, their coach, which would have been not a player, so that doesn't really fit. But yeah, I had Tui's and Cowzine. I think that's how you pronounce it. Tui's should have the nickname Too Easy. I feel like that's a really easy pick for a nickname, but nobody's thought of it yet. But overall, I think they have just been insane this tournament, a lot better than I expected. I think the combination of those two were better than the combination of the two new players for NRG, and Artis and Som. I think Artis was probably better than both of the new Loud guys, but both the new Loud guys are definitely better than Som. And I think that's a big reason why they were able to make it through in what is probably the best game of Valorant I've ever watched, like whole BO3. Even I don't think the 13-3 on Split was that big of a like blowout. Like obviously the score looks like that, but overall I just thought NRG kind of lost a bunch of gunfights and stuff. But this isn't a recap. Tui's and Cowzine played insane, and I didn't really expect them to do that. And yeah, overall, really impressed with both of them. And I think this Loud team can win the tournament and might be the favorites to at the moment. And next up, from the only Chinese team in the bracket, FPX, I picked Nisao, their smokes player. He just adds to the list of pretty good Asian smokes players. Like you got Mako, Mind Freak, Sugar Zero. There's a bunch of other ones that I just like noticed, like King when he was playing Viper, Sinvery when he was playing the Astra. I'd have to look at a list. There is definitely more though, and I don't know. I thought his util was nice. I thought his fragging was good, especially when they played Pearl. I think it was right. Yeah, when he was playing the Astra, and overall really impressed with him. Not really by the rest of the team. I didn't really notice the rest of the individuals. Obviously, Berlin was kind of getting memed on for the lurking fade, and yeah, I don't know. FPX didn't look as good as I thought they would. I thought they would be a little bit better than they played, and I thought Carmine Core would be worse, and that's why I predicted that game wrong. And now we have Carmine Core, who I think this one will probably be a little bit unpopular, but I'm gonna pick Navera. I always kind of thought he was overrated. I didn't really think he was like this god tier player that a lot of people said he was. But he definitely played like it in this tournament. I mean, his opping was just so consistent, especially when he was playing Omen on Pearl against FPX. Where else was it? I think there was just moments against Loud where like he would get the first pick on Ospas, which you don't really expect from an opping smokes player, but he did it. And I don't know. Overall, I just thought he played a lot better than I thought he was. Especially, I think that's on a new role for him. I don't think he's played smokes before. I think he's played like mainly just the Sentinel and like sometimes Viper. I don't know. Actually, there was another role that he played. I think it was like Flex Initiator stuff, right? Yeah, like Breach, Sova, KO kind of stuff. Yeah, overall, just really impressed with him. I just hit my mic. And now for BBL, I'm just gonna go through this quickly. I have Turco, who was their initiator player. I don't think is crazy. I just didn't really find this team that impressive. I thought he played pretty well, kind of getting them in that Ascent win. And other than that, didn't really do much, and neither did anybody else. And now for DRX, there's a lot of options I could have gone with here, but I went with Zest. I think he would have been on this list for literally any event that I've seen. I mean, probably just champs mainly, but this guy, like, there's so many just impact rounds. Like, on Ascent, there was the one round where he's sitting backside, I think it was the pistol. He was sitting backside B, he gets 3, and then, like, stays alive, gets another kill, and then wins the 1v1 to get the ace, and kind of the DRX snowball the rest of these rounds on the defense half. And yeah, overall, I just thought he played extremely well. And remember when this guy was going to get benched? Aha! Now, Cloud9, who I'm going to take Vanity here. I know this might not be a popular opinion. Obviously, his individual play was not great. But I think, especially against Paper Rex, his IGLing, again, especially on Lotus, looked really, 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 really nice. I thought on Pearl, he kind of just rolled them over. I mean, that was more individual level than it was game plan, but the game plan and calling was overall just really, really nice. And then against DRX, again on Pearl, it was good. Haven, they kind of just got smashed on the attacking side. You can't beat DRX on this map when they're playing well. And Icebox, again, defensive half, where the IGL won't have a ton of impact, but he individually did not have a good game. And neither did anybody on C9 other than maybe Ye. And I don't know, overall, I thought his IGL looked kind of impressive, even though I knew that he was already good. I had recently dropped him to my third best IGL in NA behind Stellar and FNS. FNS and then Stellar. I don't have Stellar as my number one, don't worry. But yeah, overall, I just thought he kind of raised his stock a bit in this tournament. Obviously, Zeppa and Leaf were really good, but overall, I think I already knew that Zeppa was good. I already knew that Leaf was good, and people that were complaining about this team's roles did not know what they were talking about with these players' flexibility. And now for my player from Paper Rex, I really didn't know who to pick here. I was tempted to pick Cigarettes because all of these players played poorly in their game against Cloud9, but I ended up going with, excellent zoomed out, I ended up going with Forsaken. He proved that he can still play at like a similar level to what he was. I thought he played okay in their game, obviously not well. His chamber looked fine, and on Pearl, along with pretty much the rest of the team, he was just feeding. So I don't know. I didn't really know who to pick here, so I just went with Forsaken. And then for Team Heretics, I picked Calox. Um, I don't know. They didn't really have a ton of other bright spots. Like I thought Avova was a good player, but he did not play well in this tournament. Uh, Kellogg's though, he just had so many moments, especially on Pearl, where he would just like randomly get a 4K with whether it be his knives, an op, or rifle. He just overall looked like a really strong player for them now. And I think if he develops a bit more in terms of his decision making, I think he could be an even better player and could maybe even be one of the best players in the world one day. But I don't really expect him to get there. But it's possible. And now for EG, the team that had the most options to pick from. Uh, in all seriousness, I went for Ethan. Uh, there we go. Went for Ethan. Especially in that game against Heretics, I thought he played really, really well. I thought he was one of the players that I just didn't understand why they even signed him. But I think he gives a pretty good veteran presence to this team, and he was fragging a lot better than I thought he would be. And that might be due to the fact that he's a Lanimal. I know he played really, really well at Berlin, and when the 2021 LCQ was on LAN for those like 2 games. Um, yeah, I don't know. He was one of the big reasons why they beat Heretics, and I didn't get to see a ton of this Talon game, but from what I did see, he was doing his job. Obviously, they got like came back on. I don't know. Like Talon had 2 comebacks in the second half of both maps. That's kind of unfortunate, but I already knew like Jojima was good. I already knew BCJ was good, and Calm and Boostio didn't really impress me too much. So yeah, I had to go with Ethan here. And for MIBR, I went with Heat. I didn't think he played particularly amazingly, on Fracture especially, but on Haven I thought he played pretty well. It was kind of the bright spot of this team. He got an ace, which was kind of cool. First Brazilian ace in front of a Brazilian crowd. I thought Moriz played pretty well. No, was it JZZ that I thought played well? Yeah, it was JZZ. He's playing the Breach. I thought I was thinking Breach, and then I saw it on Haven, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. But no, it was JZZ that I was kind of impressed with, but I kind of had to pick Heat. I didn't know if he would like kind of get back to the form that he was at, and when he was playing the Rays, he looked very good. So pretty impressed with him. And then finally, we're on Talon, who I think you really can't pick anybody other than Garnet. Um, the only real game he didn't go crazy in was the MIVR game, but against EG, he was a massive problem on both the Jet and the Rays. And then when they went up against DRX, his Neon in this game looks a lot better than it did against MIBR. Didn't look crazy. And then on Ascent, he just did not care. He was just pushing everything. They had so many nice set plays on the defensive side with him. Just got 2, 3 kills every time. And on Icebox, he again played pretty well with that double harbor game, which was kind of cool. Yeah, he had a real breakout tournament, and I think a lot of the community does share that opinion with me. Uh, Especially when I was watching like Sean Garris' stream. He seemed to be really impressed with him. His mechanical ceiling is just off the charts. And so yeah, that'll do it for like my breakout players of lock-in the alpha bracket. I think I'm gonna try to do the same thing for the omega bracket. See. But yeah, overall, that was an awesome bracket. I might do a recap video about it if I can get it out in time before the omega bracket starts. But if not, I won't be too bummed about it. But yeah. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment about your breakout players for this event. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.